Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That thought you keep pushing down, the one that says love has passed you by, silence it. The enemy is working overtime today for one reason and one reason only. He sees who is coming toward you. It all shifts in the next 24 hours. The loneliness, the wondering, the quiet ache of feeling like you are somehow outside the reach of what everyone else seems to have. But hear this carefully. It is not shifting because your season finally arrived by chance. It is shifting because of what you have carried and who you have become in the waiting. Think back to that moment this week when you looked at your life and quietly decided that maybe love was for a different version of you. A younger version, a more convenient version, a version that had not seen what you have seen. You did not know it then, but that moment of surrender, that release, was the exact act that unlocked what God had been holding in place for you. You did not disqualify yourself. You positioned yourself. You did not find this recording by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. God did. This is a divine appointment that was written before the foundations of the earth. You are standing at a threshold that has your name on it. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes I am going to hand you the divine verdict that dismantles every lie about your age, your past, and your worth. I am going to walk you through the exact reframe that reveals why the waiting was never rejection. It was protection and preparation. And at the end, we are going to seal this truth with a declaration that shuts the door on the enemy's narrative about your life forever. Do not click away. Your future self is begging you to stay, because if you leave now, you walk out right before the verdict is read. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has not just been still. It has been heavy in a way that is hard to explain to anyone who has not felt it, like something is pressing on your chest from the inside out. Maybe you were lying in bed this week, staring at the ceiling in the early hours of the morning, running through the same quiet question you never say out loud. Whether it is too late, whether the gap, in age, in circumstance, in what the world calls compatible, is simply too wide for love to cross. Or maybe you were scrolling through someone else's story and felt that familiar sting, not jealousy exactly, but a grief you carry in silence because it feels too small to name and too heavy to put down. You feel suspended, like you exist in a space between who you were and who you are becoming, and love feels like it belongs to one of those versions, but not the one standing here right now. And in that suspension, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. He has been telling you that the barrier is real, that the difference in years, in life stage, in what other people will say, it is simply too much. He has been replaying conversations in your mind, moments where someone made you feel foolish for hoping, moments where you talked yourself out of something that felt right because you were afraid of what it looked like from the outside. The accuser has been telling you that desire itself is the problem, that wanting this is naive, that God's plan for connection must have an expiration date attached to your name. But I need you to hear what the scripture actually says about this moment. Ruth 4:13. And the story of Ruth and Boaz was never a story about convenience. It was a story about covenant crossing every boundary the world had drawn around it. Their union was not logical by the standards of the culture around them. It was not tidy. It was not what anyone would have planned on paper. And yet God called it blessed. God called it legacy. God called it the lineage through which kings would come. Listen to that truth. The Most High does not plan by the world's categories. He does not look at the gap and see a problem. He looks at the gap and sees the space where His glory fits perfectly. The enemy wants you to believe that age is a wall, but in the economy of heaven, it is not a wall. It is a testimony waiting to be written. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of rejection. It is the weight of something massive moving into position. It is the pressure that comes right before the breakthrough breaks through. The version of you that kept showing up, that kept trusting, that refused to become bitter in the silence, that version did not fall behind. That version is exactly where the promise lands. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are not outside the reach of what God planned before you ever drew a breath. You are not in a delay. You are in a delivery. Hit the like button if you feel this message found you at the right moment. Drop a comment below. When was the last time you almost talked yourself out of believing love was still possible for you? And what made you hold on anyway? What you just heard wasn't entertainment, it was confirmation. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Chosen One's blueprint will show you exactly why God separated you before birth, why the attacks came so early, and what He's unlocking in this season. You'll also get the full audiobook version and a powerful bonus, activating your prophet mantle for those carrying a prophetic fire they haven't yet learned to release. The link is waiting in the first pinned comment, but not for long. Now let's go deeper into what God is actually doing here. Because here is what most people never truly grasp about the waiting periods in their lives. They instinctively treat it like a sterile, impersonal waiting room. A place of forced inactivity where clocks tick agonizingly slow and nothing of real significance is happening. It's a space where you feel forgotten, sidelined, observing life pass you by while your own dreams seem to gather dust. You scan the horizon for signs of movement, only to be met with an enduring, deafening silence. This perceived emptiness breeds frustration, doubt, and a gnawing sense of impatience that can erode even the strongest faith. It feels like a cosmic delay, a divine oversight, or perhaps even a punishment. But I'm here to tell you that the waiting God designs for His beloved children is never a waiting room. It is a sacred divine workshop. Every moment that felt like an inexplicable delay was, in fact, an intricate, purposeful design. A symphony of intentional, surgical, and precise movements orchestrated by the master craftsman of your soul. Think of the artisan who sculpts a masterpiece from raw clay, or the blacksmith who tempers steel in the hottest fire, hammering it into an unbreakable form. Each year, each month, each silent day that passed without the manifestation of what you so fervently asked for was not empty time. It was a crucial period during which something profound was being meticulously built, fortified, and refined within the very core of your being. Something that the magnificence and weight of the coming promise absolutely required. You were not being held back from your destiny, stalled in some spiritual purgatory. On the contrary, you were being held together, carefully nurtured and strengthened, your spiritual architecture being renovated and reinforced, until the absolute fullness of what God had prepared could finally find and perfectly align with the absolute fullness of who you were exquisitely becoming. This season of perceived stillness was the bedrock, the unseen foundation, being laid for a glory that you are not yet equipped to carry, but are being divinely prepared to inherit. It's the deep root system developing in silence, anchoring the mighty tree that is about to burst forth. Consider for a moment the patriarch Abraham. Not the legendary Abraham we envision, standing resolute on Mount Moriah, hand poised over Isaac, a figure of unwavering faith and enduring legacy. No, let us recall the Abraham who was still waiting, not just for a few years, but for decades. The Abraham who was 75 when the promise was first whispered into his spirit, then 80, then 99. The Abraham who, upon hearing that he and Sarah, both far past the age of childbearing, would finally have a son, didn't fall to his knees in immediate worship, but instead laughed. A deep, incredulous, almost bitter laugh, born not from faith, but from the sheer, overwhelming absurdity of it all. This was the man who, in a moment of profound human frailty and understandable impatience, tried to help God fulfill his promise by conceiving Ishmael with Hagar, creating a wound of division and strife that nations are still carrying, still bleeding from, to this very day. Yet, in the face of his doubt, his laughter, his human errors and imperfect faith, God did not call him disqualified. He did not revoke the promise. He did not condemn his attempts to accelerate the divine timeline. Instead, God reaffirmed his covenant, reiterated his unwavering love, and steadfastly continued to call him the Father of many nations. The magnitude of the promise did not shrink, nor did its certainty waver because of the relentless passage of years, nor due to Abraham's missteps. The promise was appointed to land, to blossom, to come to full fruition in the precise, divinely ordained moment it was designed for. And when it finally did arrive, with the miraculous birth of Isaac, it came in such an undeniably supernatural and illogical way that it made its heavenly origin unmistakable. No human logic, no medical intervention, no earthly wisdom could possibly have produced such a wonder. It stood as a towering testament to God's absolute sovereignty, his perfect timing, and his boundless faithfulness, even when our faith falters. This profound story echoes through time, a living parable for you today. Your imperfections do not negate God's promises. Your waiting is not an indication of his forgetfulness. It is, instead, a testament to his meticulous design. And that, my beloved friend, is precisely the kind of unconditional, unwavering and eternally faithful love God is meticulously writing into the unfolding narrative of your own life. But here is where the journey of understanding goes infinitely deeper, and this, I must warn you, is the part that most people instinctively recoil from, the uncomfortable truth they are quick to skip over. The reason this season of waiting has felt so protracted, so arduous, so seemingly endless, is not merely because the timing wasn't yet perfectly aligned in the cosmic sense. More profoundly, it's because you were not yet fully free, not fully unburdened from attachments, patterns, or even people that would have, beyond a shadow of a doubt, ultimately sabotaged or destroyed the very thing God was meticulously preparing to bring into your life. Pause and reflect on this. Every relationship that reached an unexpected, painful conclusion. Every door that slammed shut in your face, leaving you reeling in confusion and heartbreak. Every person who abruptly walked away from your life, or whom you, by divine nudge, were compelled to walk away from. These were not, in the grand scheme of heaven's design, failures. They were divinely appointed filters. God was not in the business of punishing you with those excruciating endings, those sharp cuts of separation. No, his loving hand was, in fact, protecting the sacred assignment he has laid upon your life, safeguarding the precious promise by surgically removing anything and everything that was not in perfect, harmonious alignment with it. And some of those losses, those poignant goodbyes, those deeply etched wounds that you grieved for years, some of those doors you still, even now, with a pang of regret, believe you should have held open, clung to with every fiber of your being. Those, my dear one, were the most merciful and compassionate closings heaven ever, in its infinite wisdom, performed on your behalf. They were not rejections, but redirections, not punishments, but profound protections. The insidious lie the enemy tirelessly whispers, the heavy burden he desperately wants you to carry, is that those closed doors, those painful departures, are a definitive verdict on your inherent worthiness, a declaration that you are somehow not enough, not good enough, not deserving of an open door, a new beginning, a genuine, lasting love. But hear this profound truth with every cell of your being. A door closing is not a judgment on your intrinsic value or your God-given destiny. It is not an indictment of your character or your future. Instead, it is a divinely intelligent rerouting, a strategic course correction on your spiritual GPS, guiding you with unwavering precision toward your true and ultimate destination. The path that felt like an unbearable loss, a devastating detour, was, in the fullness of God's perfect plan, the only road, however winding or arduous, that could have possibly led you exactly here, to this moment, to this precipice of breakthrough. It was a crucible designed not to break you, but to refine you, to shed what was unnecessary, and to prepare you for the exquisite unfolding of your destiny. And this profound realization ushers us into an even deeper layer of insight, something that, tragically, most people miss entirely in their human-centric understanding of progress. For too long, you have been inadvertently measuring your own spiritual and personal progress by what you do not yet possess, by the perceived gaps and emptiness in your life, by the absence of the things you yearn for. But let me reframe this for you. God, in His boundless wisdom and perfect love, is measuring you by something entirely different. He is measuring you by what you did not lose in the refining fire of the process. You did not lose your tenacious, unwavering ability to believe, even when belief felt like a fool's errand in the face of stark reality. You did not lose your tender, expansive capacity to love, despite experiencing profound heartbreak and disappointment. You did not grow cold or hollow or bitter or cynical in the corrosive way the enemy fully expected and desperately hoped you would. No. You kept something exquisitely alive within you, a precious, vibrant ember that most people, when the silence stretches long enough and the trials press hard enough, inevitably extinguish. And that living, breathing, burning thing inside you, that tenacious flame of unconquerable hope, that unyielding spirit of expectation, that precisely that is what the promise itself is irresistibly drawn to. Hope in the kingdom of heaven is not a naive, whimsical wish or a passive daydream. Hope is a powerful, active spiritual magnet, and what you have been faithfully hoping for, deeply praying for, and persistently believing for has been drawn by an unseen but undeniable spiritual gravitational pull directly toward you, by the very act, the very energetic force of your continuing unyielding belief. It's a divine law of attraction, activated by the purity and persistence of your faith, sending out a homing beacon to your destiny. Stay with me, lean in closer, because what is coming next is a layer of truth that will likely challenge, if not completely dismantle, everything you have been taught and everything you have come to believe about how love truly works, and, more pointedly, why it has not yet arrived in the fullness you crave. Because there is a deeply ingrained, almost constant conversation you have been having with yourself, a silent, yet incredibly potent dialogue that urgently needs to cease. It sounds so utterly reasonable. It cloaks itself in the guise of wisdom, maturity, self-awareness, and realistic expectation. But let me unveil its true nature. It is none of those things. It is, in its core essence, a subtle but dangerous agreement with the enemy, cunningly dressed in the appealing language of logic and common sense. Every single time you have told yourself, with a sigh of resignation or a shrug of assumed acceptance, that you are simply too old for this dream, or that your situation is too complicated for divine intervention, or that the gap between your present reality and your desired future is too wide to bridge, or that people will never understand your calling, you were not, in fact, being realistic. You were, whether consciously or unconsciously, making a powerful vow. And vows, my friend, carry immense spiritual authority and creative power. Words, especially those spoken repeatedly and with conviction over your own life, create a tangible spiritual atmosphere. You have been, without fully realizing the profound implications, constructing and maintaining an atmosphere of impossibility, a dense spiritual fog of limitation, around the very thing God has unequivocally called certain and ordained for your life. You have been echoing the enemy's narrative, giving voice to his lies, and inadvertently creating barriers where heaven has cleared a path. This, then, is precisely where the real, transformative turning point begins. For it is an absolute spiritual impossibility to move forward into the magnificent destiny God has meticulously prepared for you, while simultaneously speaking into existence, through your words and your inner monologue, the exact opposite of that divine decree. The time for straddling the fence, for wavering between faith and doubt, is over. You must make a decisive, unyielding choice today. Not tomorrow, not after you finally see tangible evidence, not after it meticulously makes logical sense to your finite mind, but today. You must declare with every fiber of your being that the irrevocable verdict of heaven, the prophetic declaration over your life, absolutely overrules and supersedes the verdict of your painful history, your past failures, your perceived limitations. You must grasp the profound truth that the original, life-affirming word God spoke over your existence before you were even formed in your mother's womb, before time itself began its march, unequivocally supersedes and outranks every single negative word, every limiting label, every dismissive opinion, every discouraging prophecy spoken over you since. This is your moment to align your confession with your Creator's decree, to dismantle the internal structures of impossibility, and to rebuild on the solid, unshakable foundation of divine truth. And what is coming in just a moment? This is the profound layer beneath even this. The deepest excavation is where everything you thought you understood about the mechanics of love, its arrival and its divine timing, will be completely, gloriously reframed, revealing a truth that sets you free. Because let us engage in a brutal yet liberating honesty about something profoundly counterintuitive. A significant part of your deepest hesitation, your subconscious resistance, is not actually a fear of the promise not happening. It is, startlingly, a profound, unacknowledged fear of it happening. This manifests as a deep-seated apprehension of being truly seen, fully exposed, in the radiant light of that kind of unconditional, overwhelming love. A love that demands authenticity and vulnerability. It's the trepidation of being truly known, stripped bare of all pretenses and masks, known that deeply, that intimately again, after perhaps years of guarding your heart. It's the primal fear of wanting something so intensely, with every fiber of your being, and then experiencing the devastating familiar sting of losing it once more, echoing past heartbreaks. And perhaps most powerfully, it is the fear of having to be fully, utterly present and engaged in something that demands the highest, most authentic, most courageous version of you. The very version of you that you are still, in this sacred unfolding journey, diligently becoming. Think of the armor you have painstakingly constructed and worn throughout this season, the impenetrable shield of independence, the carefully fortified walls of self-sufficiency, the strategically maintained distance of emotional caution. This armor, let us be clear, was once absolutely necessary for your survival. It served its purpose. It protected a tender, wounded heart from further harm. But here's the critical truth. It has now outlived its purpose. It has transformed from a shield into a cage. And if you attempt to carry this obsolete, restrictive armor into the magnificent, expansive thing God is bringing into your life, if you refuse to lay it down, it will, tragically and inevitably, suffocate the very thing you have been praying for with such desperate longing. The very warmth, light, and intimacy that heaven intends to pour into your life will be stifled by your own self-imposed protection. God, in his boundless compassion and profound understanding of the human condition, is not demanding that you be without wounds. He is not asking you to arrive at his altar pristine, untouched by the battles of life, or devoid of your past scars. That would be an unrealistic and unholy expectation. What he is lovingly yet firmly asking you to do is to stop allowing those wounds, those past hurts, those imprinted traumas, to continue making your present and future decisions for you. There is a fundamental, life-altering difference between genuine wisdom that protects you from genuine harm, a wisdom born of discernment, spirit-led intuition, and healthy boundaries, and the cunning, deceptive voice of fear that artfully pretends to be wisdom. Fear, when unchecked, masquerades as prudence, rational caution, and self-preservation, but its true agenda is always to shrink your world, to keep you small, isolated, and safe from the very expansion God intends. Learning to meticulously discern and consistently tell those two distinct voices apart, the authentic, gentle whisper of divine wisdom versus the loud, insistent, shrinking cries of fear, is, without exaggeration, one of the most sacred, challenging, and utterly essential disciplines of this pivotal season in your life. It requires deep introspection, unwavering honesty, and a constant prayerful communion with the one who authored your destiny. Now, let us turn our gaze to a profoundly liberating truth that the prophet Isaiah captured, a truth most people in their hurried reading often tragically skip over or misunderstand entirely. In chapter 43, God does not offer a promise to meticulously fix your shattered past, nor does he declare his intention to painstakingly make your history make perfect sense in a way that satisfies human logic or resolves every lingering question. No, his divine command, his liberating decree, is far more radical, far more transformative. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. He instructs us not to be defined by what was, nor to be perpetually tethered to the pain of what is no longer. And then, with breathtaking majesty, he declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" The pivotal question here is not a hesitant inquiry into whether this promised new thing is actually coming. For God's word is immutable, his promises as sure as the dawn. The profound question, the one that demands your active engagement, is whether you are willing to truly see it. Are your spiritual eyes so fixed, so irrevocably trained on the rearview mirror of what has already been, on the barren landscape of yesterday's disappointments, that you are rendered incapable of perceiving the fresh green shoots of what is already, subtly but powerfully, beginning to spring forth in your present? Are you positioned with an open heart and expectant gaze to perceive the divine movement, the gentle stirring, the fresh anointing that is already in motion, manifesting even in ways you might deem insignificant? It's not about ignoring your past, but releasing its power to dictate your future. It's about shifting your gaze from regret to revelation. Indeed, my friend, there is something truly significant, something divinely orchestrated, already beginning to powerfully move in your precise direction. The spiritual atmosphere is shifting, the currents are changing, and heaven's blueprint for your breakthrough is being activated. This is precisely why the enemy, in this specific season, is working with such unprecedented, relentless fervor. His intensified opposition, his heightened whispers of doubt, his cunning strategies to ensnare you, these are not random attacks. They are, in fact, undeniable indicators that movement is happening, that a divine shift is imminent, and that your promised land is within reach. He desperately needs you distracted, caught in the endless scroll of trivialities, overwhelmed by the clamor of the world. He needs you grieving old losses, perpetually rehearsing the painful narrative of old wounds, allowing bitterness to take root. Most crucially, he needs you spiritually blind to what is already powerfully in motion, to the subtle signs and divine orchestrations that are unfolding around you, designed to usher you into your next season. His strategy is to keep your gaze fixed on the broken pieces of yesterday, so you remain utterly oblivious to the masterpiece God is unveiling in your today and preparing for your tomorrow. Your heightened warfare is a sign of your proximity to victory. But now comes the deepest, most confronting, and ultimately the most liberating layer of truth, a revelation most people sadly never quite reach. And it is at this precise, pivotal juncture that true, profound transformation either takes root and flourishes, or it falters and remains elusive. The deepest thing that has been, perhaps unknowingly, blocking your breakthrough, hindering your full reception of God's abundant promises, is not, in fact, your past mistakes or perceived shortcomings. It is not the lingering grip of fear, however powerful its hold may seem. It is not even the unconscious vows you have spoken over yourself, though they certainly play a part. No, it is something far more subtle, infinitely more insidious, and exponentially more powerful than all of those things combined. It is a deeply embedded, quiet, yet profoundly debilitating belief about what you truly deserve. Deep below the conscious surface of your carefully constructed theology, beneath the verses you know by heart, beneath the fervent prayers you pray daily, there exists a quiet, often unspoken conviction. It runs like an intricate, ancient root system, unseen but powerfully feeding everything else in your life. A conviction that murmurs with deceptive sincerity that a love this good, this real, this abundant, this truly miraculous, this kind of overflowing grace is destined for other people. It's for the more worthy, the less flawed, the seemingly more righteous. You, my dear one, have been subconsciously, almost instinctively, positioning yourself as the one who faithfully gives love, who tirelessly holds space for others to experience and celebrate love, who joyfully celebrates the blessings and breakthroughs of others, but fundamentally, not the one who can fully, wholeheartedly, and unreservedly receive it for yourself. In essence, in a profound act of self-limitation, you have made yourself a quiet, unseen exception to your own vibrant faith, to the very goodness of God that you preach and believe in for everyone else. You, with every fiber of your intellectual and spiritual being, believe that God can do it. You have no doubt of His omnipotence, His limitless power, His unwavering faithfulness in the abstract. You just quietly, and without perhaps fully realizing the impact, do not believe that He will do it for you. And that subtle yet seismic distinction, that almost imperceptible hairline fracture between your universal faith in God's capabilities and its intensely personal application to your own specific life, this, precisely this, is the invisible fault line where your breakthrough has been consistently stalling. It is not because God is withholding His goodness from you. Heaven's storehouses are always open and overflowing for His children. It is because you have been, in a deeply ironic twist, refusing the very gift you pray for, without even consciously knowing it. You have been standing with arms often defensively crossed at the threshold of your own magnificent miracle, fervently praying for the door to swing open, not realizing in your spiritual blindness that this particular door has no handle on the outside. It opens only and powerfully from within. And the moment you make the profound, liberating decision, when you truly, unequivocally decide, with every fiber of your reconciled being, that you are absolutely not the exception to God's boundless goodness, that the overflowing abundance of heaven is not reserved for everyone else, while you faithfully and stoically wait outside its gates, shivering in the cold, That, my friend, is the precise, electrifying moment something supernatural, something utterly undeniable will tangibly shift in your reality. It is the moment you reclaim your divine inheritance and step fully into the flow of grace. And here is what makes this entire journey, this profound unveiling of truth, even more deeply confronting, even more challenging to your ingrained self-perception. The very version of you that has diligently undertaken all this painstaking spiritual work, all this arduous trusting, all this profound growing in the deafening silence, in the unseen crucible of your soul, that version of you is, in fact, infinitely more ready than you could ever possibly conceive. The mere undeniable fact that you are still here, still breathing, still believing against all odds, still hungry for something genuinely real, something deeply authentic and spiritually resonant, rather than settling for what is merely convenient, comfortable, or superficial. That, my dear one, is not an ordinary feat. That is the indelible, precious fruit of a rigorous spiritual process. A refining fire that most people, disheartened by the weight or overwhelmed by the pressure, tragically abandon. And God, in His infinite wisdom and meticulous economy, does not waste process. He does not subject you to such an intense, profound, and often painful preparation without a magnificent, glorious promise waiting, bursting forth on the other side of it. The depth of every valley you have walked through, every tear you have shed, every spiritual battle you have fought, every lesson you have painstakingly learned, that precise, immeasurable depth of your journey is the exact measure of the profound spiritual capacity you now powerfully carry within your soul. And what is coming, what is being released, what God is unfolding for you, requires someone with precisely that kind of hard-won, crucible-forged capacity, not in spite of everything you have endured, not despite the scars you bear, but most powerfully and beautifully because of it. Your history is not a liability, it is your qualification for the glory ahead. Tonight, before you surrender to the peace of sleep, I invite you to engage in a sacred, transformative act. Place your hand gently but firmly over your heart, and with unwavering intention, speak these liberating truths over yourself, allowing each word to penetrate the deepest recesses of your being and reprogram your spiritual narrative. I release the silent, self-imposed vow I made against myself. I sever the agreement I unknowingly entered into with impossibility and limitation. I consciously lay down the armor that, while once necessary for my survival, has now undeniably outlived its sacred purpose and has become a hindrance. With open hands and an open heart, I choose to receive, fully and unreservedly, what heaven has meticulously held in perfect place and prepared just for me. I declare without hesitation or doubt that I am not, and have never been, an exception to God's boundless goodness, His extravagant grace, or His unwavering love. I am not too old, too complicated, too wounded, or too far outside the miraculous reach of His redeeming love. I renounce, with finality and authority, every single word I have ever spoken, every agreement I have ever made, in unison with the enemy's false, diminishing narrative about my life, my worth, and my destiny. And I powerfully declare that what God ordained for me, what He inscribed in His divine blueprint before the very foundations of the earth were laid, cannot and will not be cancelled or diminished by the fleeting opinions of people, the relentless passage of time, or the finite limitations of my own human understanding. What is divinely destined and coming toward me is already in powerful, unstoppable motion. What God profoundly promised me is already irrevocably written in the archives of heaven. And from this sacred moment forward, I choose to walk not in hesitation, not waiting for permission to fully believe, because the permission, The divine mandate was generously granted to me before I ever even conceived of needing it. I am seen, not merely observed, but intimately known and deeply cherished by my Creator. I am chosen, set apart for a divine purpose unique to me. I am exactly where I am supposed to be, perfectly positioned for my breakthrough. And what was held in perfect place for me, reserved by the hand of heaven, is now, in this powerful moment, being released into my open, receptive hands. Amen. If this message reached something in you that had been waiting to be reached, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Not because you are trying to inspire them, but because something in you knows they are standing at the same threshold. And sometimes the most prophetic thing we do is pass the word along.